This is about a month and a half of almost everything that I sold on eBay right after Christmas of this year until about the middle of February. I feel like I have been slacking on YouTube, so I owe you guys some bonus videos, so this is the first bonus video for this week. This Ralph Lauren sheet set sold for $150 on eBay. It took about a month to sell. I picked up an entire Ralph Lauren bedding set in this pattern for $45, and I've already sold 2 throw pillows for $50. 8 months ago, I picked up a huge box of these bottles at a garage sale for $20. These ones sold for $37.04, and these are the last of the bottles that I have. I picked up these boots about 3 weeks ago, and I paid $9.99 for them, and they sold for $39 plus shipping. I picked these up because they're in season Cabela's and suede. I picked up this Angel probably 2 months ago for $5.99 at Salvation Army, and she sold after Christmas for $54 plus shipping. This blow dryer hairbrush sold for $18 overnight. I paid $2 for this at Salvation Army about a week ago. Just took me a few days to get it listed. This Bionic hair straightener sold for $22 plus shipping. It took about 2 weeks to sell. I paid $3 for this. I took a lower offer on this item just to get it sold since Christmas is over. I paid $1.99 for this about 3 weeks ago. I picked these bags up for probably 75 cents at the bins, and I wasn't too sure when I picked them up if they were gonna sell or not. And they ended up selling on eBay for $21 plus shipping, and they took about 2 months to sell. This Department 56 pond sold for $85 in about 2 days. I only paid $3 for this since all Christmas items are half off at my Goodwill stores. I took a low offer on these for a quick sale. They sold for $35 plus shipping overnight, and I paid $6 for these. I'm getting down to my last few colognes. This one sold for $45.50 plus shipping in about 10 weeks. I paid $2 for all of these lights at the bins, and they took about 6 weeks to sell. They sold for $30 plus shipping. I sold another one of my colognes. This one was a vintage Old Spice aftershave, and it sold for $66 plus shipping in about 10 weeks. This was another item I took a low offer on. I just didn't want to hang on to it much longer just because Christmas is over. Sold for $60 plus shipping in about 5 weeks. I paid $7.99. This is probably one of the oldest items I have. This took about 2.5 years to sell. I paid $2.99 for this, and it sold for $31 plus shipping on eBay. This was another Christmas item I took a lower offer on just to get rid of it. I paid $1.99. It sold for $15 in about 3.5 weeks. I paid $4.99 for this older Fujifilm camera, and it sold within a week for $45 plus shipping on eBay. I've already made my money back from this trip to the bins, but I probably paid about $4 for this Duluth bag, and it sold for $50. It took about 3 weeks to sell. This bed skirt took about a month to sell. It sold for $40 plus shipping, and I made my money back on all of this bedding already. I picked up this Griswold pan for $3 at the bins, and it sold for $54 in about 3 days once I got it listed. In better condition, it definitely would have fetched more money. This tube of glitter I found in my trunk. It fell out from an estate sale. I listed it, and it sold for $7 within 48 hours. I paid 75 cents for this bar of soap in March, and it sold for $6.93 plus shipping. It only took 8 days for this Magnolite roaster to sell. I took an offer of $85 just for the quick sale. I paid $10 for it. Took 3 weeks for these LL Bean boots to sell. I paid $8 for them, and they sold for $54 plus shipping. This vintage YSL aftershave took 11 weeks to sell, and it sold for $135 plus shipping. These are some ADT window and door alarms that I picked up at an auction last weekend. I paid $35 for everything I bought, and these sold for $50. I paid $45 for a huge Ralph Lauren bedding lot about 2 months ago, and I've already made my money back. This comforter sold for $270. This Starbucks espresso scoop took about 2 months to sell. I paid $1.99 for it, and it sold for $14.56 plus shipping. These Brooks were the half off color, so I only paid $3 for these, and they sold for $30 within 2.5 weeks of listing them. I picked these Birkenstocks up at the bins for $1, and they took about 2 months to sell, and they sold for $15 plus shipping. I paid around $75 for a Barbie lot over the weekend. This doll sold for $30 in about 30 minutes. I paid $4.99 for this Ralph Lauren shower curtain, and it took about 3.5 months to sell. It sold for $30 plus shipping. I love picking up really light items like this at the bins. I might have paid 10 cents for all 4 of these little stitch kits, and they took about 3 months to sell, and they sold for $8 plus shipping. I paid $33 for this box of flatware about 3 weeks ago at a local auction, and it sold on eBay for $85 plus shipping. This pack of vintage bottle nipples sold for $35 plus shipping. I picked these up at the thrift store for 99 cents, and they sold within 12 hours of listing. I had never seen one of these cream cheese holders before. I paid $1 for this one and looked it up while I was in the store, and it sold for $12 plus shipping within 7 days. I'm in the profit on all of this vintage Barbie stuff that I picked up. I took an offer of $12.50 for this fashion queen. She's in really rough condition, and she took about 3 weeks to sell. This was a lot of vintage Barbie clothes that I kind of threw together from scraps that I had laying around from over the years, and it sold for $28 plus shipping. I sold this Clinique face bar for $20 plus shipping, and I paid 75 cents for this about 2 weeks ago. These 2 plush sold on Mercari for $18 plus shipping. They were part of a huge lot I bought a year ago, and I'm all in the profit. This electric toothbrush sold so fast I didn't have a chance to put it away. I paid $10 and it sold for $68 in less than 24 hours. This Estee Lauder hairbrush took about a week and a half to sell. I picked it up at an estate sale for about 50 cents and it sold for $13 plus shipping on eBay. This Clinique hairbrush took about a week to sell. I paid 50 cents for it at an estate sale and it sold for $14 plus shipping on eBay. This one is the smaller travel size. This Furla bag took about a month to sell, maybe a little bit longer. I picked it up at the bins and I paid about $1.50 for it, and it sold for $30 plus shipping. I paid about 50 cents for these 2 tubes of glitter, and they sold within 12 hours for $18 plus shipping. I picked up this Young Living essential oil at an estate sale about a month ago. I paid probably less than a quarter for it, and it sold for $12 plus shipping. This midge is all profit. She sold for $38 plus shipping. She came from a lot of Barbie stuff I picked up at an estate sale. This Philosophy Solid perfume also came from an estate sale. I paid $1 for it, and it sold to a viewer for $28 plus shipping. I paid 50 cents for this paste wax at an estate sale about a week ago, and it sold for $33 plus shipping on eBay. I picked this book bag up at the bins for $1 about 13 months ago, and it sold for $19 plus shipping. This is actually the 3rd time I've sold this book bag. This is the first buyer who actually paid for it. Keep an eye out for this brand, Berger. I always pick these up when I see them. The glass diffusers always sell better than these ones. I picked up this set for $5 and it sold for $35 plus shipping on eBay in about a week and a half. I paid 75 cents for this pack of Papermate ink refills, and they sold for $12 in about 2 months. These vintage razor blades sold for $12 plus shipping. I picked these up for 50 cents about 8 months ago at an estate sale. I paid just under $2 for this replacement bulb, and it took about a month and a half to sell for $18 plus shipping. I paid 75 cents for this advent calendar 3 months ago, and it sold for $12 plus shipping. These 2 lights have been around for probably a year and a half. I had 3 of them. The first one sold for $40. I cut the price drastically on these and sold both of these for $30 plus shipping. I paid $6 each for them. I picked up this perfume for a little less than $1, and it sold for $40 on eBay in about 3 weeks. These vintage Goody bobby pins sold for $10.44. I paid a quarter for them about 3 weeks ago at the same estate sale. I paid $1.50 for this Clinique comb 5 weeks ago at an estate sale, and it sold for $20 plus shipping on eBay. This Estee Lauder lipstick sold overnight. I paid 75 cents for it, and it sold for $17.99 plus shipping. I picked up this toy for $3.99 at Goodwill about 6 weeks ago, and it sold for $45 plus shipping. These cowboy boots don't have a brand name, but I paid $4.99 for them 6 weeks ago, and they sold for $30 plus shipping. At my bins, all luggage is $2, and they considered this bag to be luggage because it was so large. So I paid $2 for this, and it sold for $45 in about 4 months. This cologne is all profit. It came from the cologne estate sale that I went to in the beginning of October, and this one sold for $45 plus shipping. These 3 hair products sold for $180 to the same buyer. I paid around $6.20 a bottle for these, and they probably took about a month to sell. Whenever I sell items like this, people always ask me why, and these are discontinued and no longer made anymore. I picked this item up at the bins, and it sold within 5 hours of listing, so I pay $1.49 a pound at the bins plus 6% sales tax, so I'm paying just under 10 cents an ounce, so I paid about 32 cents for this item. Ever since he passed away recently, Toby Keith items have skyrocketed in price. So before, this CD would never sell for more than $2 or $3, and I sold it for $15 plus shipping in less than 12 hours. I picked this up at the bins as well, so I paid about 30 cents for this one. About a week and a half ago, I paid $6 for 2 Cutco knives, and this one just sold today for $20 plus shipping, and there is a little bit of damage to the blade on this one. Now, I sold the other one a couple days ago for $20 plus shipping. I picked up this hairspray for $2 at an estate sale at the end of February, and it sold for $30 plus shipping. This is the third one of these coffee pots that I've sold in the last few months. So I picked this one up for $4.99, and it sold for $38 plus shipping in about 3.5 weeks. I worked out a deal with a repeat customer, and I sold this mouse for $112 plus shipping, and I paid $4.99 for it a month and a half ago. I picked this up at the bins, maybe paid $1 for it, and it sold for $23 plus shipping in about 10 hours. I picked up this Yeti cup at that same bins trip, and I probably paid about $2 for this, and it sold for $20 plus shipping in about 12 hours. This swim cap was an international sale. It sold for $19.55. I paid 99 cents for this, and it took about 2.5 weeks for it to sell. This cup took probably 3 weeks to sell. I picked this up at an estate sale on half off day, so I paid $4 for this. This is a Stanley and LL Bean collaboration. This vintage aftershave sold for $120 plus shipping. I paid a little bit less than 50 cents for this about 2 months ago. This Niken mag roller took about 10 days to sell. I paid $2 for it, and it sold for $80 plus shipping. I'm always on the lookout for anything Pier 1, and I picked up these 2 Pier 1 plug-in refills about 6 weeks ago for $1, and they both sold for $19 plus shipping. I paid $1 for this Niken ankle wrap at an estate sale, and it took about 2 weeks for this to sell. It sold for $22. Percentage-wise, this was a huge profit. I paid $0.05 for this vintage Clinique lipstick. Yes, it is new, and it took about a month to sell, and it sold for $8. I picked up these LL Bean flip-flops 3 weeks ago at the bins. I paid $1 for them, and I took a best offer of $20 plus shipping. I picked up these Talbot leather loafers at Goodwill about 2 months ago, and I paid $5.99 for them, and I took a best offer of $33 plus shipping. I paid $2 for this Estee Lauder makeup about 2.5 months ago at an estate sale, and it sold for $55 plus shipping on eBay. This was brand new in the packet. I've had this razor for sale for probably close to 2 years now. I paid $2.50 for it, and it sold for $68.50. I paid $1 for this Bath & Body Works item about a month ago at an estate sale, and it sold for $40 plus shipping. This was also brand new. I paid $1 for this metal cleaner at an estate sale about a month ago, and it sold on eBay for $24 plus shipping. I paid $10 for this coffee maker around 3 weeks ago, and it sold for $75 plus shipping. I bought this mouse at the bins, and I probably paid about 30 cents for it, and it sold for $22 plus shipping in about 2 weeks. I paid $4 for this temperature gauge about 3 weeks ago, and it sold for $23 plus shipping. It took 4 months for this YouTube turtle sewer lair to sell. I paid $3 at the bins, and it sold on eBay for $30 plus shipping. I paid $5.99 for this coffee pot, and it sold overnight for $45 plus shipping. I did take an offer on this. I had it listed for $55. The Salad Master Wok sold for $250 plus shipping, and it took about 6 weeks to sell. I paid $16 for it. I paid 50 cents for this pack of brand new pencils from $19.99 about a week ago. I listed them. They sold within 2 days for $10 plus shipping. The internet almost had a heart attack when I picked up this Christian Dior lotion. I paid about 25 cents for it, and it sold for $28 plus shipping in about a month and a half. I paid $10 for this Sony TV, and it sold for $200 plus $50 in shipping, and this one took about 2.5 months to sell. I paid $2 for these Bolo mugs at a Habitat for Humanity about 2 months ago, and they sold for $35 plus shipping. This picture was only $3, and it sold within 2 weeks of listing, and it sold for $45 plus shipping. This goes to a KitchenAid blender. I picked these vintage Ray-Bans up at the bins about a month ago. I maybe paid 25 cents for them, and I just took an offer of $46 plus shipping. These 2 mugs sold within a day for $35 plus shipping. I paid 25 cents for these at an estate sale. I paid 3 cents for this Merle Norman lip liner, and it sold for $22. It took about 4 months to sell. This was part of a big lot of beauty products that I picked up at an estate sale. These 2 shams are all profit. These are Ralph Lauren Hawk Springs. I took an offer of $50 plus shipping on these. This Philosophy body spray took 3 weeks to sell. I paid 59 cents for it, and I took a $10 offer on it. This cologne is all profit. This came from the Cologne estate sale back in October. This sold for $36 plus shipping. Now this sale also came from the Cologne estate sale. It sold for $23.75. I'm well over a $2,000 profit from this estate sale. This Nikon camera sold for $210, and I paid $4 for it at an estate sale about 2 weeks ago. I also ordered a new camera charger and battery for this, so I have about $15 invested. These forks sold for $99 plus shipping, and they took about 3 weeks to sell. These are all profit. I've already sold 8 forks for $189 from this $20 pickup. These 3 spoons came from the Cologne estate sale, which was in October, and these ones sold for $21 plus shipping. These are also all profit. I'm at over a $2,000 profit on that entire sale. I paid $300 for everything, and I've sold over $3,000. I paid $1 for this cup a month ago at the bins, and it sold for $10 plus shipping. This was the last bottle of my Vavoom Mousse, and this one I took an offer of $40 on just to get rid of it. So I made $370 off my $42 investment. I paid $17 for this All-American pressure cooker, and it sold within 3 weeks for $175 with free shipping. Shipping was $28. I paid 25 cents each for these Barbies, and they sold within 2 days. So these Barbies were a mismatch, and the wrong heads were on the wrong bodies, but these 3 sold for $55 plus shipping in about 2 days. This skipper went to the same buyer, and they paid $20 for her, and she was also a quarter. It's been about 6 weeks now that I picked up this Ralph Lauren set for $40 at an estate sale, and I took an offer of $125 plus shipping on this. This is Ralph Lauren Safari, and a very highly sought after scent. I paid $5 for a box of vintage doll items at an estate sale last weekend, and these vintage Allen shoes sold for $22.99 plus shipping in about 24 hours. I paid $4 for these Cutco utensils, and they sold in 3 days for $86 plus shipping. This discontinued Sally Hansen hair remover sold for $50 plus shipping. It took about a month to sell. I paid $3 for this at an estate sale. I picked up this bottle of collagen peptides for $10 at a garage sale. I listed it that same day I bought it, and it sold overnight for $60 plus shipping on eBay. I picked up this Canon camera about a week ago at a garage sale for $4, and it sold within 5 days for $60 plus shipping. I just listed this camera 3 days ago. I paid $4 for this one as well, but this one is broken, and it still sold for $28 plus shipping. This Little Miss Pixie vanity set sold for $23. I paid $2 for it at an estate sale, and it took about 5 days to sell. I paid $6 for these Mephisto sandals about 5 weeks ago, and they sold for $55 plus shipping. This is a really great brand to look out for. These always sell really fast for me. I paid a quarter each for these Little Tykes dollhouse accessories, and they sold for $23.50, and they took about 2 weeks to sell. It took 2 weeks for this Michael Kors perfume to sell. I paid $1 for it, and it sold for $64 plus shipping on Mercari. Buyers pay all the fees on Mercari, so my buyer actually paid $87 for this used perfume. It was about 95% full. I paid $8 for this Chanel number 5 about 2 months ago. This one also sold on Mercari. It sold for $45 and this one was about half full. My buyer was just shy of $60 all in for this purchase. This Estee Lauder Pure White Linen Light Breeze perfume took about 5 days to sell. I paid maybe 50 cents for this and it sold for $52. I offered free shipping on this one. Shipping was less than $6. My buyer paid a total of $61.54. I picked up a bunch of Clinique makeup for $1 a piece at a garage sale 3 weeks ago, and this little palette sold for $29.99 plus shipping on eBay. So make sure you're looking at the beauty products when you're outsourcing. I'm not going to make any promises, but I feel like I have been slacking on my YouTube videos. I only put out 1 full-length video last week, so my goal is to put out 3 this week and 3 next week, so to get 6 videos out before the end of the month. So if everything goes according to plan, I will put out a thrifting or estate sale video either Thursday or Friday, and then another bonus video on Sunday, and then 2 more next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you on my next video in a couple of days.